New tonight, the commander of the North Carolina Highway Patrol is pushing back, literally, against questions from WBTV about his decision to exempt a small group of senior leaders from having to follow the agency's travel policy.
Is it appropriate for these commanders to be putting hundreds of miles, to be spending and thousands of miles to be...
Excuse me, no, this is a private meeting.
Sir,
step back.
Sir, do not touch me.
Step back.
Sir, do not touch me.
A months-long investigation finds some troopers using their state-issued vehicles to drive from their homes in one part of the state to their offices in another. Investigative reporter Nick Oxter joins us with more on what he has uncovered. Nick?
Yeah, Paul Maureen, the Highway Patrol's travel policy requires troopers to live within a 60-minute drive of their assigned duty station. Last year, a report by the North Carolina State Auditor found 8 members of the patrol's leadership breaking that policy. Now, we've learned Colonel Glenn McNeil, the commander of the Highway Patrol, changed the rules for a small group of patrol leadership less than 2 weeks after learning about the auditor's findings. It's an all too familiar part of life, filling up your tank to drive to work, especially if you have a long commute. But could you imagine driving more than 200 miles just to get from your house to the office? That's what we found one captain in the North Carolina Highway Patrol doing. This is Captain James Wingo's home in Asheville. Patrol records show he works in Raleigh as the captain over internal affairs, making more than $90,000 a year. But early one Thursday evening, we found his patrol vehicle in his driveway at home on the other side of the state. We knocked on his door to ask him about it, but he didn't want to answer at first.
Wondering why you don't live near your duty station in Raleigh.
Well, I do live in my duty station in Raleigh.
But sir, you pay property taxes here and you're registered to vote here at this address.
That's correct.
So this is your residence?
Yes, this is my residence.
Fuel records provided by the Highway Patrol show Wingo frequently gassed up between his home and Raleigh, including places like Asheville, Marion, and Statesville. Records show Wingo's one of at least 10 senior leaders in the Highway Patrol, all of whom are assigned to office jobs, who use their vehicles to drive 70 miles or more from their homes to their office. One captain, who lives in Morganton and is assigned to work in Cary, put nearly 30,000 miles on his patrol-issue vehicle in just 7 months.
When I step in that car and I go to work, I stop vehicles, I work wrecks, and I check on stranded motorists on my way.
A review of court records for the 17 counties between Asheville and Raleigh found that Wingo hadn't written a single traffic ticket or moving violation in nearly 2 years. Wingo and other senior patrol leadership can commute across the state because of a waiver issued by Highway Patrol Commander Glenn McNeil. The waiver says the small group of commanders don't have to abide by the residency policy that every other trooper must follow. The waiver was issued in September, less than 2 weeks after McNeil learned the result of a review by the state auditor that found some of those same commanders breaking the residency policy. We wanted to ask McNeil about his decision to create special rules for senior patrol leadership, but he wouldn't agree to an interview. So we caught up with them before meeting
Colonel.
outside Kenan Stadium at UNC Chapel Hill.
Nick Oxter, WBTV, how are you?
Yes, sir.
We'd like to ask you some questions about the commute policy for the Highway Patrol.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you waived some of your senior command staff less than 2 weeks after you found out in your exit conference with the auditor that they were violating the policy.
That's not correct.
So your exit conference with the state auditor was August 22nd. You issued this policy September 1st. So doesn't it look like the timing is pretty suspicious there?
No, sir. You don't have all the correct information. They were given an exemption in March as soon as the policy was delivered.
There's no document supporting McNeil's claim that he issued a waiver to the travel policy in March. It's not mentioned in the auditor's report nor in information sent from the Highway Patrol to lawmakers last year.
Is it appropriate for these commanders to be putting hundreds of miles, to be spending and thousands of miles to be...
Excuse me, no, this is a private meeting. Step back.
Sir, do not touch me.
Step back.
Sir, do not touch me.
As we rode up the public elevator with McNeil and stepped into Kenan Stadium, he defended Captain Wingo's use of his state vehicle to regularly drive from Asheville to Raleigh.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
We couldn't find one single speeding ticket or traffic collision that he was involved in the last year since he's lived in Asheville and been stationed in Raleigh. So what patrol duties is he performing?
He is in full compliance with our patrol policy.
So we took our findings to the legislature and sat down with State Senator Shirley Randleman, who chairs 2 committees that oversee the Highway Patrol.
I would find this concerning because we expect all of our state agencies to be considerate of taxpayer dollars anytime they are using taxpayer dollars.
We found some troopers putting between 20 and 30,000 miles on their vehicle in a 6-month period, on their state-issued vehicle, driving from their house to where they work. That sounds like a lot of miles and a lot of cost to the taxpayers.
And I think it needs to be explored. I think the issue needs to be explored.
Now, this isn't the only questionable use of taxpayer money we found the Highway Patrol spending. Watch WBTV tonight at 11 as we uncover money meant to buy supplies for troopers being spent on furniture in the colonel's office. Instead, guys, back to you.